We should be live.
You're right.
Oh, well. Welcome
Hello.
again. I get it. 6:30.
Y'all knew.
See,
Y'all knew. Y'all knew.
You knew who you were coming for. Man, we've got some stuff to fill you in. So, first of all, welcome, Danny and Brooke. Thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out
Danny
with
and
us
Brooke's
tonight.
going to hang out and talk with us tonight.
Oh.
That'll be fun.
And we haven't really got to tell you. So let's start with just this morning. This morning.
Oh, we're going all the way back.
Oh, we're going all the way back. So this morning, as you know,
ready.
as you know, Sherry actually has a whole lot of things that she's going through. So this morning we were talking, and we got up out of bed, and we had session after session that was about to happen throughout the day. And we got up this morning, and of course her ammonia level was really high. So when her ammonia level's really high, her emotions really go deep and really show up in a very fragmented way. So I just happened to look out the window and said, there's water out there on this cover. And she goes, oh, And I didn't think nothing of it because I didn't know that it rained last night. Simple enough, right? So I didn't think it was a big deal, but somehow she got trapped in her mind that she needed to find out why there was water on top of the pool cover. Not to the point where you would think that she would, she lost her mind. Let's just put it that way. She literally started getting ape shit over
Pretty much the toxins that get to my brain that just makes it misfire a little bit.
Just, okay, are we coming through okay? Can you guys hear us okay?
Yeah. They'll let us know.
I don't know if they can hear us.
Hi in Patreon. Hi in YouTube.
I do not hear you, Danny. Hold on. Let me see if I
I
can.
can. No, I can hear you. I can hear you guys.
Remember the conversation we had where he said he's got that? He's got that.
Oh, okay. He's got that. Good. So we're coming through okay. Good.
I trust you, Danny.
Okay. So anyway, this morning, this happened, and we started to realize, okay, we're going to have an interesting kind of morning, but I didn't know that this was going in the background. So I was like, oh, geez, she's going through it. So I had to slow myself down and realize, hey, what's going on? And I started paying attention, and I noticed that she was not remembering much of anything. Because when we first woke up, we were laying there still, and I said, good morning. And, we kissed or whatever. But needless to say, from there, it was like your ammonia level kept getting up. And when this happens, it's almost like a seizure. You can actually see in her eyes that she's not
Now
there.
you can hear you.
You can hear me now?
Much better.
Much better?
Yeah.
So, yes. It's what?
I said that just already sounds rough, and you're in the beginning of the story.
Right. It's
that
only
was just
morning.
this morning. So we're like, okay, today's going to be the kind of day where the extra healing needs to happen. So I kind of start really paying more and more attention, but then we do our first session we had to do this morning. Then right after it, there was like this huge meltdown of why there was water on the cover. I mean, huge meltdown.
Now,
like it was the
keep
end.
in mind, it's a pool cover, which should probably have water on it if it rains.
So she's crying, and her rage starts to build over getting a hold of the people that put it on there, getting a hold of the neighbor across the street to find out why there's water on there. And I said, well, sweetie, it rained last night. Well, you're upset about it. And I'm like, no, I'm not upset. She goes, no, you're really upset. And she just started to build. So the more she got upset, the calmer I got. Because sometimes you got to get to your peace to realize things that when they start to spiral out, you got to kind of connect to yourself in a very deep way. Because you got to access your inner peace. So when I did that, I started to really pick up that, no, she's in trouble. So I kept holding her hand, and that's when she starts to not be able to pronounce words. There's a lot of, almost like she stutters all the way through. All the words don't come out properly, which makes me do the same because we're both sharing in this connection.
Mm-hmm.
So the day we start realizing, okay, we're going to have to cancel this, cancel that, and just try to make things work. But in the meantime, we definitely got to get a hold of the doctor. We got to find out what we need to do because this one started from 9:30 this morning We are now at close to 12:30, 1 o'clock. She still hasn't come back. So I'm panicked at this point, but I'm calm at the same time because I have to pay attention to her energy and my energy in combination to what's actually happening.
Yeah.
So I kind of have to just sit with it, which means time needs to be let go of. That's why we're late. That's how that works. But I have to make sure that she has food in her so she can get her words together. I have to make sure that she's taking her medicine. She's got water. You got to make sure all that stuff's available. No matter what she tells you, she's not hungry. I don't want anything. I mean, you literally have to sit.
Does it really sound like that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it really comes across
Yeah.
that. I mean, it's serious, but at the same time, we find humor when she comes back. Like, yeah, I mean, it's not humorous when it's happening. It's really not.
It doesn't feel humorous.
No, it really doesn't. But we get to a point where she can come back down. So around 2:30, she started to come back. At this point, we had gotten a little bit in as far as food. She took her pills, and it's a leveling out thing. Because when your body doesn't function properly, none of the toxins leave your body like it should. That's why people are at a high risk right now, especially with everything that's going on. So I have to make that my priority. I got to make sure that my immune system is protecting us both. And it doesn't happen that way if your emotions are all over the place. You can't connect to your own immune system to tell it what to do. So I moved that out of the way to make that happen. So here we are. We did make it. I thought about canceling this, but then I saw her go back, and I said, "Ooh, we're doing that show tonight. we got to be here." But thank you, Brooke. How was your day? let's just.
I took a
that's
little trip.
why
I'm back.
she saw your message about how are we going to connect? Do we need to do a sun test and all that? She started to go up again.
I was like, "Oh no!" I panicked.
Down. I was like, "Ooh." I was like, "We'll send you a Zoom link." I was just being simple. Because that's the only thing I could do. So
just go to Taco
we
Bell.
had to get everything coordinated so we could come on here, you guys. So thank you guys for if you're tuning in right now. We appreciate that. We're sorry we were a little bit behind, but as you can see, there was a lot to it.
Oh,
Fun
yeah.
day.
Well, first off, I just want to say, Sherry, the strength that you have to be able to even share that story and then you come up here with a smile, absolutely beautiful.
Oh,
Second off, Lee, the way that you hold space, and when you're talking about it, we can feel the energy that you're emitting in it, and it's really beautiful as well. And then the last thing I want to say is hello to everyone in the chat, and thank you for having us today.
We got Sandra and Alan in the chat, and Gina.
oh no! I thought we locked the door.
The last message they sent me on Facebook is, "Are you guys going live yet?"
Yeah. Here we are.
Here we are.
Alan, you know how impatient.
Well, the beautiful thing that I found in our connection is where we're both grounded in. And the universe is a very beautiful thing when you watch God and Source do exactly what they're supposed to. Because masculine and feminine energy, of course, is God and Source. The universe is the playground. So when I realize that that's the playground, and I know that's in here, I create the peace. And I can hear her better in that space. Does that make sense?
It's completely interesting how, if I'm in that, the doctor called it today something odd. I don't know what he called it. He called it something odd. But when I'm in that space, in total confusion and it's just cloudy. It's just a bad space. And when I was going into those spaces, and we didn't have a diagnosis, we didn't know anything was going on with me, ooh, that was a trigger. A lot of triggers. And man, would it cause a lot of conflict over things like water on a pool cover, right?
Dish in the sink.
3D things that really don't matter become something so huge that it takes your words.
And when knowing as deeply connected as we are, Sherry's an investigator, okay? By design, that's who she is. So when something is not the way that it should be, like if there's a dish in the sink, she wants to investigate how it got there. And when I mean she investigates it all the way to the, I mean, she'll find out where the birth or when the fork was put together, who actually manufactured it. She literally will be able to tell you the person's name who put it off the assembly line.
That's a bit extreme. That's a bit extreme.
But it's beautiful because if you watch it from a direction that sometimes people don't inspect what they expect, you start to learn that. So I really thought, you know, I need to kind of take that tool in myself and pay attention to what's happening to her.
So Lee,
that
did
is-
it?
It's
Sorry,
interesting the way that I can see him and hear him on it's a completely different level. Obviously, I'm not on a 3D level at that point. I'm off someplace else. I can communicate with you on it but he has to get my attention to where I look into his eyes, and then I can feel some peace and some calmness enough to just calm me down. And the connection, it comes in, and I do not know how people get through this without being directly in connection with somebody who's going through it with them, to go through this one person by themselves. And we're in groups where people are doing this, and they're the real heroes, let me tell you. Because this guy he's right by me, and I am an investigator. So then comes the connection wise, right? Why me? Why do I, first of all, why do I have to go through this? And then second of all, why do I get to be the lucky one that have somebody so connected to me that they can feel what I'm feeling and go through what I'm going through, and oftentimes prevent it by knowing that it's coming and doing something to prevent it. It's a fairy tale right here live.
It's a divine connection.
It's a connection that not very many people are understanding. That type of connection. And I'm going to tell you why they're not understanding it. They're not understanding it because they're not having that connection with themselves, and they're sick of hearing that. They're sick of hearing that. But if this would have happened to me 5 years ago, without having the connection I have to myself today, would be a completely different story. A completely different story. Not being really knowing who I am and being that why person. Like, why did I react like that? Not why did he react like that, or why did they react like that? Why did I react like that? Right? That's where it starts. And it starts with if I'm not connected to me, if I'm completely disconnected from me, there's no way you could get near me.
No, I know where home is.
And it's amazing, and everybody's so sick of hearing it. I'm so sick of hearing it. We get emails all the time. I'm tired of hearing it. I'm tired of hearing about the self-work. I'm tired of hearing about the self-work and the work and what I got to do. And I'm tired of working on me. I'm tired of working on myself. I promise you, the more I work on myself, the better I get. And the stronger the connection gets.
Absolutely. Now, what were you saying,
Solid.
Brooke? You were saying something, Brooke. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, what's funny is when I'm hearing y'all's story, to me, it's almost like we all experience what Sherry's talking about, but on a very small scale. You know what I mean? That the trigger and not really being present. I feel like we all experience that, but not as intensely, obviously. But for you, Lee, I'm sure it took a couple of triggers for you in practice for you to be able to learn how to hold that space for her. And also, I'm sure it triggered you when you look into your significant other's eyes and you don't see them. That breaks your heart. You know what I mean? That hurts when you look into your twin's eyes and they're not there. So I honor you for that, Sherry. I honor you so much for sharing your story. And I just want to, point out that, I find it very beneficial that you guys share what you share, because people can learn from you guys because
Oh, for
y'all
sure.
presented on it's a very intense level, but I feel like we all really do experience that ego and trigger and not being present. We all experience that on some level, you know?
Absolutely.
For sure.
I think for me, when I look in her eyes and I don't see her, that's when I know to go to my heart because it beats in sync with her. And it usually speeds up or slows down depending on what kind of danger she's in.
Oh, and also, you know, your story, it also portrays how you have to surrender control. There's no control in that moment. And it's just like life, maybe a smaller scale, a smaller dose of what y'all are talking about, but it's the same principle of you can't always maintain control. Your ego and your mind cannot always control what is going on, and you have to seek your heart space, and you have to rely on your faith, you know? And when we're in those challenging situations, those triggering situations, even though they're intense, sometimes they're painful, and sometimes that separation is very painful, you know? But, shit, what was I going to say? Hold on.
Moment of silence.
Isn't
Shit,
it
I
funny?
forgot.
She has my symptoms.
You know, it'll come back.
Yeah, she
I
does.
do that, you know. I'm sorry.
You totally connected with me. Thank you for taking my symptom.
When I start going, y'all, sometimes I forget where I'm going with it.
But
She
But
gets that from me. So.
But you guys send us healing energy, and sometimes you may get returned something to help us through something. And taking some of those symptoms on, I kind of count on connection for that to happen. I have to stay connected to her in a space that you guys know what I mean. You're connected in that space. So when you're not able to move all the symptoms out of the way, connection is the key. Without that connection, I won't be able to connect to her to find out what she needs in that moment. But I'm not connected to myself, it doesn't work.
exactly. And that reminds me of what I was going to say. So thank you. It's the triggers. We learn from the triggers. The triggers are the guides. When we listen to the triggers and what they have to say, and we just take that moment to really listen to them, then we can start to, you know, create a practice where we can prevent those triggers. And we can choose to show up differently.
What's your
Sometimes-
definition? What's your definition of trigger?
Of a trigger,
Mhm.
I think
when fear comes up.
he laid that on us the first time we talked to him.
Yeah, look at what the definition of a trigger is. It's usually something that actually smacks against something to make something happen. So anytime you're triggered, you have a sense of self that smacks it actually against the hurt in you, not the you that's inside the hurt. That's why you're triggered. If you actually let that actually happen, and then for the purpose of being triggered, you actually access a hurt in you haven't healed because you trapped a fragment of yourself inside the hurt. So if you look at it, the trigger is actually being brought up to heal you, not hurt you.
Well, just the universe being compassionate and purging it out of you because it wants to see you succeed, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
But let me just tell you guys in the chat, the first time I met Lee and Sherry, okay? The first time I met Lee and Sherry, I'm already nervous going in because, like, you know, I watch their videos and learn a lot from you guys. And let me tell y'all, we're in the session we got one of the free sessions from K-Moon, by the way. That's where we got in. And 5 minutes into the session,
I'd say 2 or 3.
I don't even
What
know.
did you do? What did you do?
Well, see, he knows.
She knows.
It was Lee. It was you, Lee.
Made her cry.
Oh my gosh, I don't even remember what. I know that Lee asked me, he said, a 5-year-old girl walks up beside you and she's crying because of so-and-so. What do you say? And I thought about it for a second and I was like, well, you know, maybe this, and this. And so that's how it all started, right? But let me tell y'all, there's so many things that I want to say right now, but Lee, in that moment, for one, I kind of took a leap of faith thing going on. I was nervous meeting people. I get to be shy sometimes, but Danny, you know, he made that connection and I followed through. And I just want to say that you just never know what is going to happen in a split second, you guys. If you just take like the opportunity that the universe presents to you in a second, my whole life shifted in that moment. Since you made me recognize that little girl, Lee, inside of me, that little girl, I have such an easier time dealing with my triggers and figuring out the wound that's actually underneath it. And I listen to her, and I love on her, and I'm compassionate with her when I can give you credit, Lee and Sherry, that you are a part of the reason that I don't have to run away from my emotions anymore. And that's what I do. That's what I did. I was a runner, y'all. I ran. I used drugs. People, friends, guys. That was my way. I ran. That's what I was taught. That's what I saw. But in that one moment, 5 minutes into the session, that has stayed with me and probably will stay with me for the rest of my life, because it gave me the opportunity to really connect with myself and not run away from my emotion anymore. And I had to tell y'all thank you for that.
Absolutely. You're most certainly welcome. And how's that been for you, Danny?
Oh man.
I know you've seen the change in me.
Oh yeah, no, the change in her has been night and day, and she's been always like that though. Since we came into union, there was a progression always. She's Scorpio, so that's just built in her nature. But since the session with you guys, I cracked her wide open, and I don't even think I might have seen her cry maybe for a split second out of the corner of my eye before that, but that was like the first major time where she had that release. And every time she does crack that, I'm like, oh my God. I think it's so beautiful because it's that release. Right?
But since I've been able to get to know my inner child, I also realized something about myself, which may be valuable to you guys in the chat, is when it comes to releasing, for me, it doesn't always mean crying. That's not what my release has to be. Sometimes my release can just be writing in my journal. My release can be going through, I'm in a charmed life, and I have a book that my beautiful mentor has written with all of the tools that she's acquired over 20 years of practicing, Sometimes that's my release, digging into things and understanding things, not trying to control them, but just, spending time with myself. Sometimes that is my release, So I invite you guys to, just because a lot of people cry to release, sometimes you need to walk to release. Sometimes you need to talk. Sometimes you need to go talk to yourself in the mirror. Sometimes you need to write. Sometimes you need to sing. You know what I mean? You just got to find whatever resonates with you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We have questions for them?
We have a question. We're accepting the questions from the Patreon members over on the Patreon site. We're going to just do a couple, because when we're finished here, we're going to pop off, but then we pop back on right to Patreon only, where you will get the four of us, and you can ask all the questions you'd like. But we do have one from Patreon for Brooke and Danny. How long has your journey been this far? When did you meet in 3D?
You're up, baby.
We met around this time. It was like the beginning of June last year.
Oh, happy anniversary.
Yeah.
June. Yeah. I was in search for other readers to do like tarot readings with, and I had partnered up with another channel, and we were kind of searching for readers. She popped up on my home screen. I don't pay attention to my home screen, but I clicked on her, and the moment her video popped up and she started speaking, I felt this like huge wave of unconditional love coming in that matched my love. I've never felt that before. And I was like, oh shit. And she was really good. And then I kept getting cues to reach out to her, and I'm like, damn, young, pretty, that's a fucking nightmare. Waiting to happen. I don't know, like, I'm not. But they said go, so I left a couple of comments on her video. And
it was my first reading ever. I started my tarot channel. A few months later, I meet Danny, and he was my first personal reading. Was my twin. Didn't know it was my twin. Would have never guessed it was my twin.
For quite a bit of time too. Yeah, we became instant best friends like right there after that first reading. Actually, I was waiting for her, sort of like I was waiting for you guys tonight. And I'm like, okay, my reading was supposed to start like half an hour ago, and I texted her. I said, "You okay?" And she's like, "Oh man, I'm so nervous." And I walked her through her nervousness to actually get on Zoom to do the reading.
Whatever.
And it was kind of funny, but that's how we met. Was through YouTube.
Right.
So I guess the question I have for that is, when did you first experience that this was a deeper connection than what you'd ever experienced? When did you know for sure you were in that moment?
When did you get past the pretty?
I was during that reading. I was like,
Was it like a
I'm in for it now. And,
Honestly, when it really hit me was I kept getting these intuitive hits. I kept the twin flame energy. I was resonating it more to Danny. For some reason, I kept getting that intuitive hit. And then finally, one night, I was like, Danny, why is it that I think that this person is my divine masculine, but you're the one that I feel that unconditional love for, and I see so much of myself in? And he was like, well, I am your twin. I guess he knew. I didn't know.
yeah, that was 3 months after like when we first kind of got on Zoom. But I noticed the synchronicities of how we were amazingly close, and we shared everything, and we got to be vulnerable for the first time ever, pretty much in both of our relations.
But hold on.
That was like 2 weeks in, and then like she kept coaxing, I want your feelings. I want you to tell me how you feel and all this stuff. And then I pretty much proposed to her. I wasn't expecting proposal, but I laid my heart in a video because she wasn't getting back to me.
So I was getting intuitive hits that he was having some feelings, and I needed to open a space for him to share his feelings, and finally he did. And when he did, that's when the pretty stopped. Because it triggered the crap out of me.
Oh, shit.
Like, this dude's in love with me. I don't really know him like that. Like, he's 18 years older than me. He lives in Canada. I called my friends up, and I'm like, Danny just pretty much proposed. Oh, it triggered me. Triggered me.
I found out, too, that while she was being triggered and stuff, I'm like, I've seen this before. Because I had a few Catalyst twins or Ascension partners or whatever. And I was like, this looks pretty familiar to the twin flame thing. But I couldn't tell her, and I wanted to. And then a week went by, and Spirit was saying, don't say a word, she'll figure it out. So, and then that was about a month and a half later, she was like, damn, I think you're my twin. And I'm like,
but you know what? I did not see him. I could not see him until I surrendered every single twin flame label. Divine masculine, divine feminine, twin flame. I said, you know what? Screw a twin flame, screw a divine masculine. Like, I surrendered that burden. It was a burden to me. I surrendered that burden to the divine, and Spirit just guide me where you need me to go. And then I could finally see him for the first time, But even though there was that resonancy in my soul, not even my heart, my soul, but my ego, the triggers that came up for me, he is not my age. He doesn't look the way that I want my partner to look. I like guys with this and that. And I live in North Carolina. He lives in Canada. What are people going to think if I'm over here with a guy that's 18 years older than me? There were so many ego triggers, but I just, I kept fighting through them, honestly. I don't know how I did it, but I did. Everything in me, my mind, everything in me was like, no. Everything. Mentally,
well,
physically,
beautiful
sexually.
When we come over to Patreon now, we're gonna walk through that so you can actually see what you actually experienced and letting go of all those thoughts, all those stories, all those ideals, all those beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was something that connected between you both in your hearts, which doesn't know what this noise is.
Well,
so we'll walk you through what actually started to happen. Those triggers, like you said, became almost disabled.
We did the same, exactly disabled. We went through the same things though too, because I didn't the same things. My mind on paper, he was a nightmare for a woman. Really, I mean,
Did you feel that? My ego just shot out of my body.
I said
I'm not talking about me.
I said on paper.
Well,
Right.
ouch.
That's exactly what you got.
Yeah, I'm smacking my leg on this thing.
But I did that. Like, there's no way. You've probably heard it in 20 of our videos. What contest in hell did I win? Right? I got to deal with now. I'm connected to a womanizer, and y'all have heard the list. I'll print it up if you need it. It's like Santa's naughty list. It just keeps rolling.
Inner peace.
Connection. Yeah. So, but it was the same way. It was telling my soul, telling my brain to shut the hell up.
Well,
There was something that I saw. There was something in you. Actually something I saw past. I saw past to see you.
yeah, but there was a question. There was a question that she asked me that really made me turn around. She asked this one question. She goes, "Why don't you like you?" And you asked it like you were investigating to figure out what the heck was going on with me. And when you can't answer that question, it echoes in you.
Did you say, why don't you like you?
Why don't you like you?
Oh, okay.
I mean, why don't you like you sounds different than why don't you love you? But there was something about the like that made me start listening more to my head without any reaction. And it was very profound how it actually started to unravel from that point on, because then it was like she was the only person who could understand anything I said. And that's that tunnel vision you have in this connection, where you're speaking back and forth and there's no judgment coming back and forth. When you remove judgment, the connection's clean.
I think I remember that conversation because I was sitting on my couch. It just came back to me like a flash.
Yeah.
And I remember saying to you, would you go out with you? Do you sound like a good time to you? And you said to me, no, I don't. And I said, well, then why the hell would I want to go out with you?
Yeah.
Right?
And it was.
But I didn't mean it like in a mean way, but I needed you to see.
It didn't become easier until you said, you know what, we were like almost in a friend zone without calling it an actual name.
Right.
But there was this.
We did what Brooke did.
Yeah.
I was full blown friend zone.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But I was familiar with the friend zone. I was, yeah, you want a friend? Okay.
Right.
I'm gonna be the best fuck you've ever had.
And I just looking at you now and like thinking back to all the challenges that I faced, like even my eyes said, no, he doesn't look the way we want him to look. He doesn't sound the way we want him to sound. No, Brooke, no. And like it was hard, like that battle, that internal conflict. What I was seeing, why I couldn't see him was because I had a lot of judgments upon myself. I had a lot of conditions and expectations that I placed upon myself for how I had to show up in my life. And the more I broke those foundations down and, turned into myself, the more that I could really see Danny. I could always feel him, but sometimes I could not see him.
Right.
And I had already shed the twin flame label from the past two that I thought were my twin. The first one awoken me to the twin flame journey.
Right.
The second one, my head spun because all the symptoms were there in that relationship.
Pattern.
But there was a toxicity that was just through the roof, right? And then, and I released that label completely. By the time I met her, or just before, I released it completely. And it's funny how when you release that completely, the twin steps forward. Whether it's your true twin or whatever, right?
Well, it's funny when you release whatever you are releasing, all the stories, all the programs, all the emotions, all the focus that you put into those labels before you surrender them, they're going to come up. you're going to have to listen to those stories that you placed upon that twin flame label or whatever it was you were going through. It's not like I release it and that's it. You release it over and over and over again because you have created layer upon layer upon layer when it comes to the label, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't want people to think like, oh, I released a twin flame label, my twin's going to come back. No, that's not how it works.
You got to feel it.
You actually do this. It's almost like if we could make it really simple, the way that it would sound simple is you have to reconnect with being because you become isolated and human.
Yeah.
And the being part of it is everything. It's everything all connected. So what's happened is this human has disconnected from being. So being human is what we say. We never say human being anymore. If you noticed, it's reversed. So the simplified way is you have to shatter the illusion of what's disconnected you from being. And that's where we actually find a lot of our inner peace, because you really can't control a heartbeat. You can make it race up and race down, but whatever is driving it, that's where you're connected. But you got to shatter the illusion of your story. That's why we purged a lot of our story. That's why you see us come on and do all these videos. We're purging. Because if you don't purge and you're not telling people that you need to purge, you're actually just infecting each other with your hurts. And that really is the source of why twin flames doesn't work, because we use the word. Name one word that has ever summed up you internally inside. There isn't one. So stop searching for words and start searching for feeling.
Yes.
Oh,
That was beautiful.
I don't think that there's any vowel we've ever come up with that actually tells us who we are. We're saying these words, but they're just words. There's something in your heart that says something louder, but you just stop listening to it. We all did. And, we're all regretting that we don't listen to each other's heart more. Can you imagine a world where you can hear the heartbeat when you walk in and you meet somebody? Can you imagine what that would sound like? If the whole world could hear each other's heartbeat. Everybody on this planet. Instead of what we translate from thought. That's what this connection is here to bring back. We don't need words to do that.
Yes.
So when we're doing this, that's why you're feeling radiant energy. And that's why you keep searching for information. And there's tons of it, but just pay attention to the heartbeat that you're listening to. That's connection. And we've missed it. And I get it. There's too many words in the alphabet. And there's too many things that are happening in the world to lose connection. But you can always reconnect.
We've missed it on so many levels that Mother Nature is finally trying to get us back together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This whole quarantine thing?
This whole thing has been absolutely beautiful to the ones who needed it to be.
Mm-hmm.
We are now seeing families closer. We are seeing really the ones who are a very valuable people in our lives, and those who want to be with us and want to love us and be around us.
Absolutely.
Right? Fathers are staying home and with their kids. Families are connecting. People are connecting. Even if it's over video, they're connecting with family members they haven't connected to in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We're learning to eat better. We're learning all kinds of these things. Mother Nature's been trying to teach us for years, and we keep screwing it up and making it worse and worse and worse and worse and worse, and relying on other things that we're not connected to spiritually.
Yeah. This is the dawn of finding that spiritual dimension within yourself. You didn't. If we look at it, you're paying attention to how people's health are when you go out. We didn't do that before. We would walk past people and we might look at them and have a mental image, but now you're paying attention to whether they cough, sneeze. Do they look like they're breathing okay? Are they wearing a mask? Do they look like they take care of themselves? We're actually paying attention to that. Are we sure this isn't what we should have been doing anyway?
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like now it's here, and this is the dawn of the awakening of all of this. It's not a change of an old world. This is the new earth. Our planet cannot sustain without connection. And we got to choose. We got to choose whether we're going to choose connection or disconnection. Well, we can see what happens with disconnection because look at our planet up until this point. We forgot to listen to each other's heart. Now we're paying attention to it.
Yeah, and when you put it in perspective like that, and you see it that way, and I always tell everybody, don't take my word. Take what resonates for you and your own inner knowing and intuition always. But the way that you put that into perspective, when you see it that way, it just brings you this sense of peace and gratitude and happiness because you're like, yes, Mother Gaia, like, I see you. I see what you're doing. I see how we're changing the planet. Like, I see all the love and the connectiveness that's coming through because of this. So, not labeling it good, bad, right, wrong, it just opens this beautiful space to see it differently, And it just brings so much peace when you see it that way. And that's how I use my intuition, y'all. When I'm going down a road and I get to something that doesn't make me feel good, doesn't feel good to me, it doesn't feel aligned with me, okay, I keep going. You know what I mean? See it, acknowledge it as it is, but you keep going. And like the way I use my intuition is when something doesn't feel good to me, when I'm thinking it and it's triggering a negative emotion, clearly somewhere along the line of my thought process with my emotions and my connection to what's going on around me, something is out of alignment with the truth. Every single time, I feel those negative emotions or the negative thoughts start to come through, there's a higher perspective somewhere, And even if I can't see it, y'all, I just leave the door open for spirit. Just leave the door open, and whenever I can get to that door, okay, no resistance, no control, and there's peace there when you relinquish that control,
The being understanding of that is things that you think you can reach outside, reach inside for first. That's the simple translation. We're all looking to reach up high. We're telling ourselves low. It's all linear. It's all.
I know
It's all inside.
When I was younger, I thought, I could spend a lifetime going out there and checking out the world, and the seven wonders and all that stuff, and I could travel and I could see all these wonderful places. And then something here hit me, and spirit really was talking to me in the younger years, and they said, the inner journey, it takes lifetimes to see the within.
You see, the thing about life is it doesn't know what time is.
Yeah, it has, like the outer world you can explore and see so much and be like, wow, that was quite amazing. But the inner exploration of self can take lifetimes to truly grasp, and gain that insight that you need to ascend to a higher level of living. Yeah. And that was huge. That pretty much put me on the path of searching out for the me within, right?
Yeah. Have you guys gone to that space where you realize time is irrelevant? Have you guys experienced that life when we try to connect it to time as a huge disconnect?
Say that again?
I'm saying, have you guys experienced that in this connection yet, where you realize that life doesn't really connect to time, it disconnects it? The moment you look at life, you're not looking at it according to how you get there. You're looking at it how it's actually already there. So it's almost like you find that life doesn't connect to time. It's the disconnect for it. So if I wanted to share connection with her, I realized that my time here might not have taught me how to connect. So I had to remove time to connect. Everything that, if you look at it, the sum of everything that we got hurt by that disconnected us happened in time. How do you reconnect? It will be found in your abandonment of time, not your connection to it.
Yeah.
So it literally allowed my inner child to come out more and be more available to her because I didn't say life and put time next to it, because that's where it took away something from life, which is here now, which is my ability to connect to her. So I think as you keep getting deeper into your connection, you're going to find out. It's like when people come and visit us, they have no concept of time. They don't go home. I don't know why. No, just kidding. And so it's the illusion that they think they have time, but when they come here, they connect and they realize time is irrelevant. Time is what separated us to begin with. It never really ever connected us. Your heart is beating. That should be your clock. But we've now equated it to seeing 11:11, which is just be present. No connection. Don't be in your head about it. That's without time.
That's also that's difficult.
Ooh, hey, my boy's on here. Hey, Dio.
Beautiful.
Yeah, Lee, can you talk about the dependency and freedom between you to give each other personal space? Do you want to start that, or should
I can, yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
It's hard to not become or to not become codependent. It's a struggle.
He's been here, by the way. Dio's actually spent
he's actually
time
been
with
in our
us, so
home, so
he's talking
knows
about the.
That we are literally around each other all the time, and there are times, though, on a 3D level, where I need to go away for a minute, and or he does. But that doesn't mean I need him to leave the house, or I need him. He allows me the freedom to say to him, can you go play a video game or find something to cut or do something? You know what I mean? Can you find something to do and give me like an hour and a half to do nothing?
Right.
Nothing to do with hammers, though.
We found one hammer.
Don't bring up the hammers.
And we don't know where the rest of them are. If he had a hammer, maybe he could get some work done around here.
I've got nothing.
We'll talk about the hammer problem later.
Yeah, we didn't need to go there. I think.
But the personal space that's needed with being a human being, right?
Yes.
I mean, earlier even my son was here, and I know where you're going with this because you're putting a whole other spin on this, and I know.
I'm following everything.
But I know where you're connected to. So. Yeah, that's why I'm kind of anxious to stop. But my son was here earlier, and obviously I've had a pretty symptomatic day. But he was concerned and he was worried, but he was standing right over my shoulder, all day, like right there, over my shoulder, breathing.
The Darth Vader noise, it literally felt like it. I thought for sure I was
do you need
an Imperial
anything?
Walker or something.
Do you need anything, Mom? I love you, Mom. And it just melts my heart because he's so precious. But I really wanted to say, will you just get out from behind me, buddy? But it's that personal space that most people don't have the freedom, or they put the block on there. If I say that I need this personal space, they're going to feel rejected, or that I don't want to be around them anymore. I just need this. And the freedom to be able to say, hey, I need to be away from you for a minute is beautiful.
Absolutely.
Right, and don't take it personally either.
Yeah. What we found, and I think what Dio was pointing to, is when he was here, he noticed that we weren't dependent on each other. Not for emotional support, not for anything. We had connection. So I could be in one room and she could be in another, and we're completely connected. So we're allowed to have our space of connection to ourselves. If we're in the same room, it's just like a big party. But you could see the difference in how technology works. You could see the difference in the energy of the room. But when she's in a room by herself, she gets to experience connection to herself in that room in a different way. And it's a beautiful experience. Dependency comes from a disconnect inside of you. You actually depend on somebody to keep you disconnected. That's why it's important for them to show up or not show up. So when you have codependency, you actually are looking for a co-pilot for your hurt. And you're not paying attention to it. So your co-pilot for your disconnect, literally, if you realize that they're only there to help you stay disconnected, you would choose something differently. But we don't talk about dependency in that way, but dependency is that. You literally, if you are disconnected inside yourself, you will find somebody to come in and help you cover up that disconnection in yourself. That is codependency. But dependency is literally depending on somebody for your comfort, for your energy.
Happiness.
Yeah.
For your happiness too, and your well-being.
Absolutely. When we're born, somebody accepted your vulnerability, but you never learned how to give it to yourself. So you didn't take care of yourself, right? As a matter of fact, when they stopped listening to your heartbeat, you were already feeling disconnected because they did that, every time mom went to the doctor, right? But nobody did that after you were born, or they did it on a heart monitor when you were being born. But then, by 2 or 3 years old, something happens. They stop listening to your heartbeat. Like it should be a ritual. We should always take our head and lay it next to a child's heart. Just listen. They still have no connection. We've forgotten because we're adults. So if we looked at it in reverse, they're the elders. We're the youngins. It's just, we're not looking at it in that reverse because we don't access that energy anymore. So dependency and all of those things come from things that we just didn't pay attention to that we can now. We always have now. Or now. Yeah. How about now? Right, Danny? No?
Amen, brother.
We are going to take this over to Patreon. Before we do that, a couple things. We're going to give Brooke and Danny an opportunity to let you know where you can find them and what they do and things like that. Before we do that, over on Patreon, I know you guys are over there. You're waiting. We're chatting. We're going to go ahead and the first person who can tell me what color my hair was in July of 2014 gets a free session with Lee and Sherry over on Patreon. Hit it through the messenger. That being said, we are going to cut it off here and head over to Patreon after they talk. I'm going to give them a chance.
Okay, all right.
I'm going to give them an opportunity.
Go.
Now I'm stalling. I'm being honored.
Brooke?
That's it. Yeah. You guys, first of all, I want to thank you guys for being here with us.
Yeah,
and thank you
guys.
for coming over to Patreon.
And thank you for being patient with us today.
Yeah, because we're going to have a blast over there. And they asked some pretty crazy questions over there. So we're going to get down and dirty. And but if you guys let everybody know who you are, what you do, where we can find you.
I'll let my divine masculine go first.
That's a good
Okay,
idea.
well, thank you again for having us. I look forward to the questions. I like hearing questions from people and hearing their perspectives anyways. But my channel is Empress of Duality. I do tarot as well as live mini readings on Friday nights where you can come in Friday nights to the chat and you can get a $15 or $15 like 3-card spread or a $40 whole full-blown mini reading with both of us. We do offer personal readings. We have a mentorship program as well. And all of our information, whether you're on Northern Comfort Tarot or Empress of Duality, under our videos has all of our information. We have a Facebook group that is the Love Vibe Tribe. We have merchandise for you guys if you would like to check out the merchandise all below our videos.
Mm-hmm.
Did I miss anything?
Hi, I'm Danny. That's it. No, you did. You got it. Good.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yes. And people in the chat, thank you for showing up tonight. We honor you guys for all that you do on your journeys. And I think I'm good.
Empress of Duality out.
Yes. Thank you for the space, you guys.
Oh, we're so happy to have you. And we're going to be having a blast over here. We're going to go over here for about
And Danny's got
45 minutes or so.
Danny, you want to go ahead and tell about Northern
I want to hear about
Comfort?
Northern Comfort.
Oh, pretty much. We have 2 separate channels. We hold space on each channel. So like Friday nights, it might be on her channel, might be on mine. So,
okay.
just,
So it's like you guys, I like that. That's
Yeah,
a
cool idea.
That's beautiful.
we kind of intermingled.
Yeah,
And you can get readings. We have the Journey to Your Weighted Fate session, which we turned into a mentorship now. I don't know if we're still offering that.
Well,
But you can get personal readings from us, or you can do it individually as well. We offer personal readings.
Yeah.
And a lot of other stuff, you guys. So you really just have to check out the description box under our videos.
Yeah, and Journey to Your Weighted Fate, I think right now it's at 111 is the cost for both of us to do a tarot reading / session, mentorship session.
We say tarot reading, but y'all, let me just tell you
Yeah, it's
guys,
more than
we are both clear channels
Yeah,
for spirit,
channel
like,
messages, all kinds of stuff, dude. So so that's going to go up because it was an introductory price that we put out there. It's going to go to 144 after that if we don't scrap it altogether, because mentorships can take quite a bit of energy and time. So
we'll have to talk about that.
So you might want to jump in now while the going's good. And that's it.
Absolutely. Thank you guys very much for being here, and thank all of you guys for listening to this dialogue today. We hope that you get something from it. Dio, we hope that you'll have to be on soon, but hopefully we answered your question like you put out there.
We'll be on
Patreon here in about probably 5 minutes.
This is how it works. We take about a 5-minute breather, and we will post the link on Patreon right here before our 5-minute break. So just wait there, and then you can tune right back into us, and we're going to go live and answer your questions.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for being here. And we will talk to you guys soon.